If I were to tell you all that this was my most hyped episode of the season, I guarantee that some of you wouldn't believe me. But trust me, this is by far my most hyped episode, despite my total neutrality on the matchup itself. Part of that being because I am a massive Doctor Who fan. The series is just one of those franchises that has stuck with me throughout childhood, and while I did fall off the bandwagon midway through the 12th Doctor's run, mostly due to the fact that I was entering high school and tried to cut back on the nerdy stuff, look how well that turned out, this episode reignited my spark for Doctor Who. And while I haven't entirely watched Rick and Morty yet, I can't say I dislike it overall from what I've seen. So yeah, you could say I was a little excited for this. And that excitement only grew when I actually watched the episode. So let's talk about that. For starters, I really like the analyses. Mainly the Doctor's, #bias, but Rick's analysis isn't bad at all. Far from it, in fact. Not only is the editing just phenomenal, thanks again to Galaxy Video Max, but I really like how they cover Rick's story and his arsenal. The cutaway gag isn't bad, but when I say that, I also think it isn't that funny either, so pick your poison. It is nice to see Dummy again, though, and the ending where Boomstick says you can lick Rick's balls is just so Rick and Morty, and I love it. Especially since it directly came after Wiz saying that Rick is the deadliest warrior in the universe. That shit cracked me up. And all the same can be said about the Doctor's analysis. Minus the ball licking part. Yeah, it's no surprise here. I adore the Doctor's analysis so much, and it is because of my massive Doctor Who bias. Although, there is one problem I have with it. They didn't mention Clara at all, and that makes me mad since she is probably my favorite companion of the Doctor's. 0 out of 10 episode. Companion bias aside, I love what they do with this analysis. I love the way they talk about regeneration. Boomstick turning into a British man is hilarious. The bit about the monarchy being werewolves, which made me do the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. The fact that they ignore the fact that the Doctor is the timeless child, which just makes me happy since I hate the fact that the writers did that. In all seriousness though, while I am somewhat joking, I do feel like they at least should have brought it up, despite me not liking it. I do think it should have been mentioned at least somewhere. And of course, the entire segment about the TARDIS. I also really like how they talk about the Time Warp part of the Doctor's life, and the ending just brings chills to my spine. Overall, both segments of the analysis are really well done. Just like the animation. Segue. I'll be honest, when I first heard that this episode was going to be hand-drawn, I was a little skeptical. I mean, we just had a banger hand-drawn episode with Scooby vs. Courage. There is no way Death Battle can capture lightning in a bottle twice, right? Right? Well, apparently, yes. Yes, they can capture lightning in a bottle twice because this animation is just so beautiful and I love it. For starters, the characters look really good. Rick isn't an exact one-to-one with his regular model, but I don't really care about that when he looks this good. The Doctor also looks fantastic. It's very obvious that he's supposed to be the David Tennant's Doctors, what with the sideburns and stuff, but honestly, he looks amazing, and I love how he was drawn here. He looks like he'd fit in with the Rick and Morty style really well. And the 3D backrooms, the 3D background, the 3D backrooms, oh no! Oh gee, Rick, we're in the backrooms, shut the fuck up, Morty! Anyway, the 3D backgrounds look really nice. Special shout out to the TARDIS interior, I really like the look of it. Another thing I really like about this animation is the actual fighting between Rick and the Doctor. Despite the fact that there isn't a lot of hand-to-hand fighting in this episode, the only real bit of CQC we get in this episode is when Rick and the Doctor have a sword fight with a sword and a spoon respectively. The rest of it is mostly just using their weapons and technology against each other. Rick busts out a giant sword, well, the Doctor matches in with a spoon. Rick uses his cybernetic implants, the Doctor just disables them with a sonic screwdriver. The Doctor uses Rick's portal gun to leave him in a room full of weeping angels. Rick just has other Ricks from Operation Phoenix to trash the TARDIS. The Ricks are busy trashing the TARDIS. It's okay, the TARDIS just keeps them all trapped by switching around the rooms. It's really fun stuff. You'll also notice throughout the fight that the Doctor never once throws out an attack. Whenever the two get into a scuffle, Rick is always the one to throw out the first attack. The Doctor just defends himself. Even when the Doctor goes for the DMAT, he hesitates for a moment, which allows Rick to gain the upper hand and shoot the Doctor. The only time the Doctor even uses a quote-unquote attack is when he leaves Rick in the middle of a gaggle of weeping angels, which honestly is just hilarious to me, as it just shows off how ruthless the Doctor can be, as he just leaves someone to die via weeping angel. It just makes me laugh that they both managed to show off the Doctor's kind, compassionate, and jokey personality, as well as the no second chances side of him as well. Honestly, the characterization in this episode is on point. Rick is usually the one starting the confrontation, whether it be chasing the Doctor for ignoring him, or being the first one to pull out a piece of technology. Rick is the reason the fight is prolonged. He also casually insults the Doctor from time to time, whether he be calling him an idiot or an asshole, but I also like how he still shows genuine care and concern for Morty, telling the ship to keep him safe or saying that he's got a grandson waiting for him. I really like that. It shows a little bit of nuance to his character. The Doctor, on the other hand, is the one defending himself from Rick's attacks, whilst also making jokes and admiring the settings the two travel to. I especially love it when he takes the time to admire the screaming sun, which got a laugh out of me, I will admit, and his little tirade about loving little shops made me smile way harder than it should have. In fact, they kind of take multiple parts of the Doctor and smush it into one being. A being I will refer to as the Death Battle Doctor. It's like the War Doctor, but he's in a death battle instead. Moving on. So, you have the spoon bit from 12, the fantastic line, which comes directly from 9, the speech about little shops, the consecutive whats, the mention of the wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff, the I don't want to go line, and the Alonzi, all of which come from both 10 and 14, probably. I'm pretty sure there were more, but these were the ones I was able to pick up on multiple rewatches. I also really like how he treats the TARDIS in this episode. He treats her, yes, the TARDIS is a girl, I look it up, with extreme kindness and respect, showing concern for her when Rick shoots a harpoon into her side, and complimenting her when she traps all the Ricks in the interior. Also, I know I already talked about it, but his contemplation on whether or not he should use the DMAT is brilliant. Not only is it in character, but it also allows Rick to gain the upper hand for a bit, and it leads to the regeneration bit and the Doctor's speech to Rick. Speaking of which, the ending is really good. While the death itself is kinda lame, it's made up for with the fact that the rest of it is just plain awesome. The build-up to the Doctor regenerating is great, as is the regeneration itself, destroying the TARDIS, leading to Rick using his chestburster grunt on the Doctor to grab the DMAT. And while the kill itself isn't really that good, the fact that the Doctor uses the portal on his back to redirect the DMAT beam towards Rick is genius, as it allows the Doctor to win whilst not delivering the killing blow himself, technically. This is how you do it, Aang versus Edward. None of this, I was buried under a pile of rocks, so now I can kill you and say I had no choice. God, that episode was a mess. Anyway, let's talk about something other than Aang-word, like the voice acting. Brent Williams does a really good job at Rick. There were a few lines that could have been delivered a bit better in my opinion, but the rest of them sound really good, especially Rick's opening speech. On the other side of the spectrum, Elliot Crossley did phenomenally with the Doctor. It's kinda scary how accurate his portrayal of David Tennant's Doctor is. Then again, it does make sense since he was an official VA for the 10th Doctor, so of course he sounds scarily accurate. The track is also phenomenal. Wubba Lubba Alonzi, or I'm in Pain, Let's Go, is a great space sci-fi track, and I love the leitmotifs of both the Rick and Morty theme at the start and end, as well as the Doctor Who theme. And that's really all I have to say on it. It's a great track. I think my only real problems with this episode is that, A, I was kind of hoping we would get to see more of the characters' tools and weapons. It kind of feels like another Omnilander situation. And B, Rick's Wubba Lubba Dub Dub line doesn't really make sense to me. I know it is one of his iconic catchphrases, but it literally means I am in great pain, please help me. I feel like it would have been better if Rick said, lick my balls! There are going to be so many I just know there are going to be so many clips on Twitter of me saying that, and I'm never going to escape that. But yeah, I feel like that in the context of the scene, that makes more sense. But yeah, the animation is like nearly flawless in my eyes. As is the post-analysis, which is honestly surprising since I normally don't like talking about the post-analysis. It's just hard for me. I can never really explain why I like it or dislike it that much. Unless it's Freezatron, then I can, but every other episode's hard for me. But I really like how the post-analysis is formatted. Going into every single advantage both may have into smaller chunks, I think it really works for the series. It's almost like they've done this before in a previous episode. And hey, what do you know? They say that the Doctor's attack can counter Rick's weaponry, and that's exactly what happens in the episode. God, I love it when an episode's animation correlates to how the fight would go in the post-analysis. So yeah, that was Rick versus the Doctor. Is it my favorite episode ever? Absolutely not. But I definitely put it in my top 10. I had an absolute blast, and I can see myself returning to it multiple times over. I'm also really happy that Jaden got one of his most wanted matchups on the show. He's honestly a great dude, and he deserves this 100%. Anyway, with all that in mind, I'm definitely giving this episode, at the bare minimum, a 9 out of 10. It is an amazing episode that absolutely deserves your time. As for the next time... That's right, Internet. It was me. I was the one who saw Goku vs. Superman 3. I was the one who caused this. This happened because of me, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Goku's Funeral 3, baby. All of this chaos is my doing. Anyway, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And ring the bell if you want to see any more of my videos. Follow me on my socials in the description and check out Lucariboi's review as well as our reaction to the episode. Both will also be in the description. I'm very sorry for why I don't really sound that good because I moved recently and I forgot my microphone at my old house. So, yeah, I have to use my iPad mic now, which sucks, I'll admit, but hey, I'm fine with it. As long as the videos get done, I'm good with that. Also, I'm trying something out with the ads, because normally I just put skippable ads in my videos, because I hate unskippable ads. But I'm trying to see if adding unskippable ads will actually... because I feel like I may be screwing myself over with this. So if it's only going to be for this video, I'm not going to go back and change all the others because that would take a lot of time and I just don't want to do that. But if it does make a difference, then that's why. That's why there are unskippable ads on my videos now. Believe me, I would rather just keep the skippable ads, but YouTube is a pain sometimes, so anyway, with that all in mind, I'll see you later, Cap Nation, for Goku's Funeral 3. Bye-bye!